Stay frosty and head over to EasyMut.com for the cheapest MUT coins on the market. And when I say cheapest, I mean it. We're talking 1 million coins for around 40 bucks. Use code DIRECTOR for 5% off. Yo, what up, brothers? What's up? It's the Director. Chargers fans, the Bolts are the official victors of the Choke Bowl. Nah, but man, it was still a pretty good win for the Chargers. A very important one for Justin Herbert, getting more exposure out there and confidence under his belt after being able to take down the Atlanta Falcons. And with so few opportunities to experience Victory Monday, this is definitely overdue for Chargers fans. It was kind of starting to feel that way towards the end, right? Like the Chargers, we got a chance to win. There's a turnover. Are we about to relive the same experience we've had all season long with a last second drop? But no, it appears that the Falcons out-chargered the Chargers. Funny enough, they actually put this post on Twitter yesterday too. At least they're self-aware. And I think at this point, Chargers fans are as well. But there's a lot of things that went well for the Chargers yesterday. A lot of things that maybe we need improvement on. I did see some stuff that is answering questions for me going into the 2021 season. So I do think some tough decisions are just on the horizon for the Chargers. And I'm hoping games like this, even though it was a victory, will help us get to the right answers to improve our 2021 team. But still, a very good day for Chargers fans. Honestly, the Chargers won for a couple of different reasons, also including draft order. I couldn't believe what went down regardless of us winning that game. So we'll get into all of that and more here in just a moment. But before we do, I do need to remind you guys that we are hosting a giveaway right now. I am giving away this signed Derwin James jersey as an expression of thanks to you guys for all of your support here on the channel. All you gotta do to win this puppy is be subscribed to the channel and hit up a link in the description. Follow the instructions there. Super simple. And this thing is hot. There's a man cave out there with a blank space on their wall that could use a signed Derwin James. Merry Christmas. Also, as a reminder, we had an awesome stream this last Sunday, game versus the Falcons. Over 1,000 people in there. And honestly, new members of my crew, you guys were awesome in that stream. Lots of good insights in the member-only chat, and it was a really good time. If you guys would also like to support the channel and join my crew, check out the join button underneath this video and in the top right corner of my channel. You'll get things like custom emotes, members only chat, and your names at the end of my videos. They turned out pretty cool. I'll be updating those names probably about once a week. Anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for all your support. Let's get into this video breaking down the game and the victory for the Chargers over at the Atlanta Falcons. Before we do get started, guys, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this Chargers content. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into this video. Lights, camera, action. Victory Monday for Chargers fans, but Victory Monday not just for the win, but for a couple different things. It's a double whammy Victory Monday. The Chargers were coming into week 14 with the number 5 pick in the draft. I was worried that if we won that game, we would definitely be dropping in draft order, but oh no, the Chargers had a bit of luck on their side this week. The Chargers, as a matter of fact, are staying at the number 5 spot regardless of that victory. And honestly, guys, in my opinion, you want to get the win no matter what. This is kind of background noise to me. Whatever happens, happens. We'll figure out what our draft strategy is in April or leading up to April. But just kind of like an added benefit, an added bonus, a little cherry on top. The Chargers actually remained at the number 5 pick after getting a victory over Atlanta. It's for a couple of different reasons. The Philadelphia Eagles ended up taking down the New Orleans Saints, which was kind of shock. Jalen Hurts looking really good out there, their future, quarterback out there in Philadelphia. And then also Dallas getting the win over Cincinnati. All of this and all the different factors came into play, which ultimately led up to the Chargers remaining at the number 5 spot. So honestly, Chargers fans and people who are maybe a little pessimistic, like let's lose the rest of the season, everybody should be happy this Victory Monday, because not only did we get the win, but we maintained draft order position as well. And that's a really lucky thing to come out of week 14 with the victory and the number 5 pick. So kind of interesting the way everything unfolded in there. But what about the game game itself. Honestly, I was thinking this game would be a lot more high scoring. Ultimately, the Chargers winning 20-17, but still, I felt this would be a very high scoring game in the 30s for both squad. Ultimately, I think a couple things went down behind the scenes before the game even kicked off that resulted in this score. Take a look here at the box score. A couple of different factors came into play. For one, Matt Ryan, 224 and a touchdown, 3 interceptions is a big reason why the Falcons didn't have one of their like 30-plus point weeks versus the Chargers, which ultimately, good news for us. But really, whatever the Chargers did on defense to try and force these interceptions, putting Matt Ryan into such a position where he's throwing balls like that, that's something that really helped the Chargers out this week. 2 sacks for minus 14 yards and only allowing a QBR of 41.1. Very, very good week for the Chargers defense in certain aspects. I would say it wasn't the best week for the defense, but really when you can force 3 turnovers, that's really not a bad day in my book. The Chargers also did a pretty decent job at, game scripting and stuff like that. Ito Smith, 11 carries for 42 yards. Not great because we were allowing, 4.2 yards per carry, but still, we didn't see a monstrous amount of carries for him and Todd Gurley. Total of 20 carries this entire game, which is pretty good. If I were the Atlanta Falcons, I would have come in here and said, I am running every single down without question. The Chargers can't stop it, which is pretty evident. But, we just kept forcing them into positions where they had to pass the ball, which was very nice to see from the defense. It kind of worked out in that way in our favor. But the one thing in our defense, which I will come back to later in the video, is our defensive backcourt. There is definitely a problem back there. Calvin Ridley, 8 receptions, 124 yards, and the touchdowns on 12 targets. That's pretty crazy to me that we allowed this much production out of their wide receivers, a total of 263 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air via these weapons, mainly Ridley and Russell Gage. Absolutely insane how much production they got back there, and it's because of a couple of reasons, but again, we'll come back to that in a few minutes. Now on the Chargers side, I would say a big reason why we didn't score a crap ton of points this week was because of what the Falcons were doing defensively. If you go back and watch the game, it seems like the Falcons' main objective was to take away the deep ball from Justin Herbert, and this is something to pay attention to as we go into the 2021 season. Herbert ended up the game with 36 of 44, 243 yards, and 2 touchdowns, which honestly is pretty good. Only missing, 8 passes. I think he had a completion percentage of 81% this week, which I think is like a rookie record. Very nice stat line for Justin Herbert this week. But the reason I say to pay attention to teams taking away the deep ball from Justin Herbert is as teams continue to understand Justin Herbert, get more tape on him, we may see more stuff like this in the future, where teams are like, okay, this guy's got a cannon, he's got a couple speedy weapons in Guyton and Johnson. We need to kind of back off a little bit, take away the deep ball, and maybe give them a little bit more room underneath and try to stop that rather than stopping the big plays that could develop behind our secondary. And this can be both a good thing and a bad thing. For one, Justin Herbert still did take a couple shots out deep, not very successfully, but we did see it happen anyway, and we got close in a couple of plays. But the other thing is, Justin Herbert being such a threat on the deep ball does open up opportunities underneath, like we were talking about before. Let's actually take a look at the receiving before we take a look at the running here. Austin Eckler, 9 receptions. Okay, that speaks volumes for what Justin Herbert's decision making is looking like versus a defense that's trying to take away the deep pass. What happens when they start backing off their secondary and stuff like that is that they're going to give you a lot of space to operate underneath. And I saw a lot of people in my chat saying they're sick of the dump offs and stuff like that. And maybe there were some poorly designed screens and stuff like that, mixed into the game. But I really do like it when Justin Herbert gets the ball to Austin Eckler in space. I say this all the time when live streaming. Please get the ball in the hands of your playmakers, and we saw plenty of that this week. 9 receptions to Keenan Allen, 6 receptions to Hunter Henry, a couple of dump offs to Justin Jackson, but really where we saw a lot of production is when Justin Herbert made a good decision not trying to force it out deep and realized there's a lot of space to work with underneath, and if that's what the Falcons are going to give me, that's what I'm going to take. 9 receptions speaks very much so to his decision making in this game. He's progressing as a pocket passer, he's progressing as a quarterback and making his reads, not forcing too many deep passes when he doesn't have to, and dumping it underneath to a very lethal weapon in Austin Eckler, one of the best receiving backs in the game. So honestly, I know it's not as exciting not seeing as many deep passes from Justin Herbert, and we will see weeks where that is successful, but really when it came to the Atlanta Falcons this week, I feel like their main objective was to take away the deep ball, and Justin Herbert definitely adjusted by saying, okay, if you're going to take away the deep ball, I got a guy underneath in Austin Eckler. If I pass it to him, him, we're going to see some success. And obviously the Chargers did this week. And so bravo to Justin Herbert and finally developing into a better decision maker and stuff like that. As he continues to grow in that way, the Chargers offense will become that much more efficient, and he has the weapons to do so that are in long-term contracts with Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler. So bravo to these guys, and bravo to Justin Herbert. 243 and 2 touchdowns isn't the craziest stat line, but this number right here, 36 out of 44, shows me mature decision making, and that's something that we have to praise going into 2021. Now, a quick stat watch on Justin Herbert. A lot of guys really rooting for him to break records and stuff like that. Let's take a look at what the numbers are telling us as far as his chances to break records like the most passing yards by a rookie quarterback or even the most touchdowns. So right now, Justin Herbert is slated at QB number 11. And again, if you look all around him, everybody else has a game above him. So if Justin Herbert started week 1, there'd be no question in my mind that he breaks these records. But even with the 1 week, absence, he's still putting up really good yards. 3,467 on the year with 25 touchdowns, which now he is one of 4 quarterbacks in NFL history to accomplish this, and only 10 interceptions. So far, so good for Justin Herbert. What does he need to beat these records? Well, the record for most passing yards, he's still going to need 908 passing yards. If he's going to accomplish that, he's going to need to average around 302 yards a game, which is a little bit above his game average. Now, it's absolutely still possible. If he pops off against the Raiders and Thursday Night Football, he could help his average a little bit going into his final 2 weeks. So it's definitely still possible, but the chances are shrinking a little bit every week. And so I would say I'd still give him like a 25-30% chance of beating that record, but a record that he could definitely tie and maybe even beat on Thursday versus the Raiders is this one, his touchdowns right here. If Justin Herbert throws 2 touchdowns on Thursday, he's going to tie the all-time rookie quarterback touchdown record currently held by Baker Mayfield. If he scores 3 touchdowns, which is definitely not out of the realm of possibilities, he's going to break it on Thursday. How ceremonial would that feel like, having him go under the lights, Thursday Night Football, primetime football, and beating the all-time rookie touchdown record? That would be pretty spectacular. So everybody get your Herbert jerseys on Thursday and root for him. We're going to need to see some better stats on Thursday, but still very efficient playmaking by Justin Herbert. Let's move into some of the other stuff that we saw in this game. Special teams did look a little bit improved. You guys would notice that Anthony Lynn did say he's going to be taking over those duties as far as special teams coach coming into Sunday. And honestly, we did see some improvement. One big thing that I did notice, though, was Nasir Adderley. You guys remember that play? He gave us really good prime starting field position with that kick return. Coming in out of college, Nasir Adderley was kind of known as a playmaker. He's got some good feet underneath him, and I do feel like we saw some of that on display during that particular play. Now, Nasir Adderley has kind of been struggling this season, so maybe we start taking away duties at free safety and give him more reps in special teams. Honestly, I'm really upset that this Nasir Adderley experiment didn't work out to his full potential. There's still a possibility that it does, but we may have found a nice little place for him on this team in the meantime at special teams returner. I saw a little bit of flashes of what we used to have in Desmond King and Nasir Adderley, so that was a good decision putting him in that role before the game. I definitely wouldn't have pegged him as a returner for this squad. Outside of that, let's take a look at some more stats here. Austin Eckler had a really good day on the ground as well, 15 for 79, no touchdown. Kalen Ballage kind of inefficient. I think we should really start leaning on Austin Eckler a little bit more, and I would say run him a little bit more intelligently. When he was running outside, we saw a lot of success. When he has open space in front of him, he makes moves, he makes guys miss, he makes guys, he breaks tackles quite frequently. With Kalen Ballage running up the middle, it seemed very predictable, and the Falcons were definitely ready for him there. In the receiving game, we already talked about Austin Eckler, spectacular. Tyron Johnson having a pretty solid game too, 6 for 55 and a touchdown, very nice. Good to see these speedy weapons developing with Justin Herbert. Keenan Allen, who didn't play I think the final 2 or 3 drives, still had a spectacular game, tied for receptions this week, 52 and a touchdown. Very good outing for him. And then Hunter Henry, he had a bit of an injury scare I think in the first quarter, and it was pretty devastating because I don't want to lose Hunter Henry. And if Hunter Henry gets banged up, it's a good chance we probably let him walk after the end of the season. Luckily, he was able to get up under his own power, and he was able to come back into the game just a couple of drives later. So very good to see that there. Chargers defense. Now, I do want to shout out a couple of players, obviously the ones that had those interceptions. Michael Davis, Jaleel Adai, and Rashawn Jenkins. This was probably the Chargers' best secondary performance of the year. It's not been a spectacular performance by the Chargers in the secondary this season, but getting 3 interceptions versus the Falcons is a pretty good thing to happen. Pretty good thing interesting to see in these players. Now, I don't expect Jaleel Addae to come back next year. He's kind of a filler player in, relief of Derwin James. Sean Jenkins, I definitely want to see come back. I think he's, signed a little bit longer. I don't know. I have to take a look at the free agency. And Michael Davis, I know definitely is going to be entering free agency unless we extend him. I think he's definitely earned the money with the Chargers. I want to see that consistency in the secondary. And honestly, as he continues to develop, I think people are underrating him. When his physical talents, as far as his size, I think he's like 6'1" or 6'2", very tall cornerback with really good speed. As he continues to develop with the Chargers, he's a young player. He's been showing flashes. I'd like to see him stay on this squad. So shout out to the secondary. Very nice game for them in that sense of causing turnovers and interceptions. But we couldn't get out of this video without talking a little bit about how the Chargers could improve. It seems like the Chargers, they can't go a week without something crazy happening via our coaching decisions. And yes, I'm talking about the first half fiasco. This is almost, identical to what happened last week. The Chargers had a shot, at maybe getting a touchdown or something, and just the poor clock management, at, close to the line of scrimmage, you're in the red zone, you can at least get 3 points, and the Chargers call a run up the middle. Now, I'm reading some stuff that wasn't the game plan. I think this was the same excuse from the last time we saw this happen, that it wasn't supposed to be a run up the middle, and maybe Anthony Lynn was upset. Now, I get it. Maybe it wasn't all Anthony Lynn's fault, but there is some problems with communication going on with this coaching staff if it continues to happen over and over again. So ultimately, if this issue keeps reoccurring where there's wrong plays being communicated, after the timeout, pre-timeout, in these clutch situations where you don't have a lot of time to work with, there needs to be work done as far as communication to your coaches. There needs to be work done as far as knowing the game plan in that situation. If you don't have any timeouts, it's 3rd and 1. The last thing in the world that you want to call is a run. And ultimately, whether it be miscommunication, whether it be poor decision making, I still do think this falls on the shoulders of, yes, Anthony Lynn. Anthony Lynn did some good things this week, kind of fixing the special teams. We didn't see huge blunders like we're normally used to seeing. We saw some productivity out of Nasir Adderley. We saw, Badgley making a lot of his kicks. Special teams looked a lot better this week. But that blunder can't happen. Professionally in the NFL, as a NFL head coach, that cannot happen in that situation. The Chargers should have ended the half, 13 points to Atlanta's 17 points. There's really no excuse for that to happen again and again and again. But really, this is kind of the same story, different weeks. So we'll move on to something else. I think it's pretty evident that Anthony Lynn, he's on the hot seat. He's probably not going to stay with the Chargers after this season. And hopefully they bring someone in who can really utilize the talent of this team. A couple other things, just kind of as, awareness of a fan of what this team needs, of things that I saw in this game. It kind of brought up to light questions I've been asking for a long time, and I've probably finally come to the conclusion as to what the answer is, at least for me, the director. Trey Turner got hurt again. Brian Bulaga got hurt again. These guys were some of our biggest offseason acquisitions, and they just cannot stay on the field, which sucks. It comes down to really bad luck, I think, for the Chargers. There was some injury concern with both of these guys, but really, you got to bring something in to help this offensive line. So I really liked the signings. It just has not panned out. And this is causing some fans to ask themselves, is it time to let go of Trey Turner? Maybe cutting him in the offseason. It wouldn't cost us anything as far as penalties. Brian Bulaga, I'm not quite as sure about. I think right tackle's more important than right guard. So if we keep one or the other, we should keep Brian Bulaga. As far as Trey Turner, we could save something like 10 or 11 million by cutting them this offseason with no penalties. That's something you have to consider. The same thing can be said about some of our other veterans in the secondary. Casey Hayward, Chris Harris Jr. These guys aren't producing at the level that we were hoping they would be this offseason. Out of the two, you really can't cut both of them. The Chargers need somebody back there. Chris Harris is kind of a specialty slot corner. He does pretty well when put in that role, so I'd say he could probably stay. But Casey Hayward, it sucks because we got such a steal from him. We really, helped him unleash his potential into the NFL when we signed him from the Green Bay Packers. And just this year, it just seems like there's a decline that's, waiting in the looms for every player. Maybe it's age 31, maybe it's age 35. For Casey Hayward, it was probably this season. A lot of mistakes being made out there. He's probably lost a step in speed. He's kind of become a liability when it comes to defending the deep ball as well. We saw another play, kind of given up to Calvin Ridley. Not quite sure if he was in coverage in that, but I would assume that he was, because I saw him in coverage versus Ridley a lot. I think there was another third, and long that he was in coverage versus Ridley, and Ridley just absolutely smoked him on a slant route for the first down on like 3rd and 17. So when it comes to stuff like that, it really makes me ask myself, is it time to cut some of these vets? And I'm starting to think, yeah. And these are the kind of things you want to look for when watching a game like this one versus the Falcons. What's going on with this defense? Why are we so bad? Kind of pinpoint some of the players that are maybe underperforming, maybe need to be let go of. And guys like Trey Turner, maybe even Casey Hayward, Chris Harris Jr., we could save like $27 million by cutting all of these guys. I think we maybe keep Chris Harris, but $27 million, there's a lot of stuff you can do with that in the 2021 season via free agency, maybe even roll over caps. So I don't know, man. It's just very interesting to think about, something to pay attention to during Raiders week coming up this Thursday for the Chargers. But anyway, guys, a bit of a longer one today. It was kind of jiving with you guys. Victory Monday, special edition, whatever you want to call it. We got the win. The Chargers maintained draft position, and Justin Herbert also had himself a pretty fantastic day stat-wise. Not like, I wouldn't say like the best day, but at the same time, I saw a lot of good decisions made by this rookie quarterback, and that spells out development. So that's a very good progression for this rookie quarterback and for Chargers fans going into the future. Guys, Raiders week is coming up on Thursday. Justin Herbert has a chance at breaking the all-time quarterback touchdown record for a rookie on Thursday versus the Raiders in primetime football. So don't miss that. Keep in mind that my schedule's changing a little bit this week because of Thursday night football. Tomorrow, you guys will be getting your pregame video for the Raiders game, that matchup, all the things to be looking for. Get excited about that. And then I think Friday is the next day. I do plan on having another Chargers video out. There will be the post-game video on Friday as well. So kind of a different week, but should be a lot of Chargers content and a lot of fun. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you guys like this content, hit us up with a like and sub on your way out. Leave in the comment section below, too, some of your favorite moments from this game, as well as some of the things that you can see that need improving. Because the Chargers, yes, we got the win in the end. It was very lucky that we got the win in the end, but at the same time, I think we all want to improve. We all want this team to get better. So let me know what you guys spotted as well. We'll talk about it in further videos in the future. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. We'll see you next time. And as always, bolt up and stay frosty.